Hello and welcome to Brave New Foundation's Rethink Afghanistan debate series. Today I'm joined by Executive Director of Peace Action West, John Rainwater, and Jeremy Shapiro, Research Director for the Center on the United States and Europe at the Brookings Institution. John and Jeremy will be debating the question, do U.S. military operations in Afghanistan decrease the threat of terrorism to the United States? John won our coin flip, so we'll start with you. You have 1 minute.
Well, the first thing we need to do is we have to ask, do we have a comprehensive plan to defeat terrorism or to break up al-Qaeda? And currently, I think most people recognize there has not been a comprehensive plan in Afghanistan. We need to take a pause to create such a plan, to debate it publicly, to have a congressional debate. And we need to do that before we start talking about troop increases. There is certainly a connection between that region and terrorism. But as we've seen with attacks in Europe and frankly the 9/11 attacks, those attacks can happen all over the country, all over the world through cells that are operating all over the world. And when we look at terrorism, I think many experts agree that the frame of a war on terror has led us to overemphasize military tactics, and that we can use intelligence and policing to deal with the small group of people who are part of terrorist networks. And then we really have to win hearts and minds through the swing voters, if you will, of the contest of ideas.
John, that's a minute. Thank you. Jeremy, your minute, please.
I think it's very important to remember why we're in Afghanistan. Afghanistan had become, before 9/11, essentially the world's first state that had been captured by a terrorist organization. And the capacity that al-Qaeda had as essentially the rulers of Afghanistan to be able to train and to plan and to run these training camps that were all over Afghanistan before 2001 was critical for their capacity to carry out attacks in the United States. The military operation there in the fall of 2001 severely disrupted that capacity, and thus helped the United States protect itself. At the same time, I think John has an important point that we do need a comprehensive strategy that does need to be supplemented very importantly by police and intelligence work. But I'm a little bit concerned about this pause language. I don't think the enemy in Afghanistan is really going to allow us a pause. We need to keep working there every day.
All right, that is a minute. Let's go to John, please, for your response.
Well, let me clarify the concept of the pause. The pause is before we send in more troops, let's have a comprehensive plan. And that's the type of pause that we need. And part of the comprehensive plan has to decide how important is this to be a military fight, and how much do we have to make this more about political, diplomatic, a development challenge in Afghanistan. We feel like development can help bring security to Afghanistan. But the spending is lopsided. We're spending a couple $2 billion a month, or roughly speaking, on these military approaches, while these so-called non-military approaches are going begging. We need diplomacy, we need schools, we need agriculture, healthcare, governance. I think everybody agrees we need those things, but if the military approach is sucking up all the resources, it's going to be hard to make advances in Afghanistan.
All right. That's a minute there. Jeremy, your response, please.
Clearly, we need those other approaches, but I think one of the things you quickly understand in Afghanistan that if you don't have security, you can throw in as much reconstruction development aid as you want, and it will just be wasted. It's just being thrown down the crapper at that point. So clearly, and I think we learned this in Iraq too, security is a prerequisite for reconstruction development. I'm also concerned about this notion that that there is some sort of trade-off here. we haven't thrown in the resources on the civilian side because we don't have the right people and we don't know how to do it. Not because we don't have the money. As a matter of fact, we've wasted a lot of money on the civilian side. And so I don't think that the military is taking away from the civilian. I think that we have a lot to learn, and we have to reorient ourselves as a society to work on the civilian side.
All right. Thank you very much. You'll each have 30 seconds now to sum up your argument. John, go ahead.
Well, again, we'd encourage a really thorough debate of this before Congress and in the public. We feel like we can't continue to spend $2 billion, $4 billion a month and lose American lives for year after year after year in an engagement that could last 10 years, 20 years to rebuild Afghanistan. Afghanistan does need security, but that's going to have to come from the Afghan National Army, the Afghan National Police. We can support, but we've also got needs at home, and we have to attend to those as well. We've got an economic crisis here in this country, and we need our resources here at home and to be supportive in Afghanistan.
That is 30 there. Thank you very much. And Jeremy, your 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we do have a lot of priorities at home. I think we need to remember that we have acquired a certain moral responsibility in Afghanistan. We left this country in the lurch in the 1990s. It devolved into one of the poorest countries in the world and devolved into a civil war where thousands upon thousands of people were killed. And it came back to haunt us. And so I think that we need to be willing to devote the resources that it takes for, frankly, I think the next 5 to 10 years at least to repay that debt to Afghanistan and to protect ourselves.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for today's debate. And thanks, of course, to our debaters, John Rainwater and Jeremy Shapiro. Visit us online at rethinkafghanistan.com for more videos and debates. Tell us who won this debate. Vote at rethinkafghanistan.com.